Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.
He fired heavy artillery during the Vietnam War and was close enough to the DMZ that he could see into North Vietnam.
Here's Jason Lamb with this week's Veteran Salute. A year after graduating from Wichita West in 1968, John Ariza was drafted into the U.S. Army. He volunteered to be a parachute rigger, thinking that might keep him out of combat. But his sergeant had other ideas. After completing basic training, Ariza was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for another 8 weeks of artillery training.
And they had a paratrooper come in and talk to all of us. I volunteered to jump out of airplanes. I was kind of looking down the line. There was like a 98% chance you were going to Vietnam if you were drafted. So I thought the longer I stayed in the States, the least amount of time I would have to stay over there.
So he attended paratrooper training at Fort Benning, Georgia. Then he qualified for parachute rigger school at Fort Lee, Virginia.
Learning how to fold parachutes, do air delivery, where you'd push a vehicle or something off the back of a plane and the parachute would open and it would land in a zone. And from there we got orders for Vietnam.
It was always a very strong possibility Ariza would be ordered to Vietnam. But how did he feel when he was actually on his way over there?
I was scared, worried. You know, I didn't really even tell my parents where I was going.
Ariza's unit touched down in I Corps, in the area of the most intense fighting, right up against the DMZ.
We were in formation. They called my name and I went up, and the sergeant says, he's looking at my paperwork, says, "You're a parachute rigger?" And I go, "Yes, sir. I'm a parachute rigger." And he goes, "We don't need parachute riggers. You got a secondary MOS as artillery. We need ammo humpers." So that's how I got back in artillery. They stuck me on out in the field on the biggest land guns that they had. They were 8-inch howitzers and 175 howitzers, self-propelled, which means they were tracked vehicles. They could shoot 20 miles accurately.
From his positions at Alpha 1 or Charlie 2, Ariza's howitzers could fire directly into North Vietnam.
They had a steady thing going every night that they called H&I rounds, harassment and indictment, which there was usually 4 guns out in the field, 2 8-inch and 2 175s, and you would go from gun to gun and fire most of the night just to harass them. The other times we would shoot, we would shoot for support, just trying to take care of our own people. Actually, in this last year or so, because of the hat I wear, I've had Marines and Army people come up and say, thank me for saving their.
Ariza's unit was also assigned to a fire base near Bastogne, fire base Ripcord, and later artillery base J.J. Carroll. All in all, he was in Vietnam for just under 1 year.
11 months, 26 days. I got a 5-day early out. Could have been 100 years and it wouldn't have felt any different.
Ariza returned to Wichita. He eventually went to work for Southwestern Bell as a coin collector. Through the years, he advanced to better positions within the company. He met his future bride there, and in 2003, he retired after 31 years. He calls his unique hat a conversation starter.
Just about a month and a half ago, a boy about 7, 8 years old, he was looking at me, just a kid, no big deal. He came over and thanked me for my service. Felt good.
When I asked Ariza to look back on his service, he got a little emotional, saying there were many ups and downs, but he tries for the most part to think about the good times. Here for you, Jason Lamb, KSN News 3.
The Devon James Injury Lawyer is here with our Veteran of the Week, and that's E4 Specialist John Ariza, who served our country in the Army during Vietnam. On behalf of all of Kansas, thank you so much for your service, John.
And thank you. I appreciate it, and it was an honor to serve.
Veteran Salute is sponsored by the Devon James Injury Lawyers.